Hey everybody, I got problems. It's been 24 hours since I started. After the builder came by and put the rear cam plug back into the back of the engine block there. He didn't put it on because there wasn't one there when he got the engine, and he didn't know what to do. Because he said what was inside there kind of looked like it was like a driving gear of some kind that was maybe for like a pump, he figured. He doesn't know. He's not familiar with these engines, and so I suppose it's not too crazy to think that he just left it open like that. But I couldn't do the install on Saturday because of that. I started doing the install yesterday, but I got stuck. The thing that got me stuck was I got the flywheel onto the crankshaft. I got the bolts through the flywheel onto the crankshaft with the Loctite. And I began torquing it down, or at least trying to. But what kept happening, as everybody that's familiar with this kind of work knows, is that the flywheel was turning when I was trying to torque it, and I was using all sorts of wood, the wood that I could to stop it, but it really wasn't working, and I was, sweating bullets out here, like the wood was just like crap wood. The hardware store was closed, so I was just trying to use what I could, but it wasn't that much of a help. The engine, was all like flopping around all over the place. Yeah, it was just a bad scenario. It was just a bad scenario. So I couldn't torque down the bolts. It was like 12 o'clock at night. I had the headlamp on. I was trying to do what I could. And finally my neighbor from across the fence there, not this fence, but that fence over there. I assume, I don't really know where they were. It was dark. And I was sitting right there, kind of having a coffee at like the wee hours of the morning. And I guess I had been like kind of like tapping around on something. I think it was this piece of wood right here. I was trying to tap out this nail right there with the channel locks. Just, a couple of quick taps, and the neighbor got upset, and she came out and she said, "Can you please do that in the daytime?" And I said, "Hello?" And she said, "Yeah, it's your neighbor. Could you please do that in the daytime?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, sure." I didn't really know that anybody was awake or could hear me, or that I was keeping anybody up. But that's the way it was. Unbeknown to me. So yeah, another problem I was having while I was doing the job, and this isn't something I really ever thought about, but when I bought this, I'm like, yeah, this is a torque wrench. This will turn, when you have the torque on that, end of the driver. This will turn, and it will tell you what your torque is at. But the flywheel bolts are supposed to be torqued at around 100 pounds, 100 foot-pounds. That's way up there, and I was trying my hardest, to torque that down, and trying to stop the engine from moving at the same time. And there was absolutely no realistic way that I could, from this far away and at this angle, tell if it was at like, 100 foot-pounds, like there's no way that I could read that while I was trying with all that effort to do the work, and so it was really unsuccessful. I kind of thought that I got two of them down to the right torque, and I was marking them with pieces of tape, like, well, this one's done, and this one's probably, hopefully done, yeah, but when my neighbor asked me if I could, do this during the daytime, and I said, yeah, of course, what I did is I went back inside, and I started thinking, okay, I'm going to pick it up again tomorrow, but then I started thinking about the Loctite. I was like, oh yeah, the Loctite is actually still in there, and it's setting, and it hasn't been torqued down yet, and I'm going to need I'm gonna need to, I'm gonna need to start moving those bolts again to get the right torque, and I'm gonna disturb the Loctite, which isn't good. And so I thought, okay, that's a very unpleasant thing to be thinking, so don't think about it, just worry about it tomorrow. And I kind of, relaxed a little and got myself, a couple of puffs of the cigarette there, and relaxed and just let go of the thing that was kind of bothering me. And that was successful. I was able to relax and just kind of let it go and think about other things. But this morning when I woke up, I kind of faced the music, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, you're going to have to go. You're going to have to go and maybe get yourself a different torque wrench so that, when you're pulling on it, it clicks, and so you won't have to look at it. But the torque wrench that clicks, that was as long as that, bar that has the appropriate amount of length for the leverage to be able to do these kinds of jobs. It was the wrong driver size, and they didn't have an adapter. And so I bought the one that was 3/8 instead of 1/2. That was the size of the socket that I have, that I've been using to torque down those bolts. And it was about from driver to the end of the handle, like the last place that you can grab onto, it was probably about here. So it was probably this long. And it just wasn't a really long torque wrench. Or maybe it was like a little bit, maybe it was like around here. No, it was probably more around here. That's the length. That's as much leverage as I had to torque 100 foot-pounds, and it didn't really work. I did find a more solid piece of wood, and I jammed it in there, and I jammed this in there too, which is also a hardwood. And I had achieved what I was trying to achieve last night, by stopping the flywheel from turning, but the wrench wasn't long enough for me to get it to click at 100 foot-pounds. And so I decided, okay, all right, I'm going to use this camera. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to, record a video of myself doing the work with the camera pointing right at it. So I'm going to be able to see where it went. And, it kind of seems like a whole lot of screwing around. Like the amount of work that somebody can get done and the amount of time that I've done my amount of work is, there's a big difference there. Let's just say the least. They're able to do a lot more work than I am. But that's okay. I'm a first timer. That's all right. Anyways, I'd like to talk about the clutch. The clutch plate. The clutch pressure plate, and also the friction disc that I got back from the guys that helped me out, and they rebuilt it. Falcon clutch down in New York. They did a really good job, and I'm about to show you. It looks really impressive. Like, I can't believe how good it looks. Like, look at that. Like, that's like, anybody that's going to look at a friction disc is going to feel a lot of confidence when they look at that friction disc. That's like a rebuilt friction disc. You can't get any better than that. Like, look at that. You can't get any better quality than that, I think. I think that's 100% quality. 100%. Look at the pressure plate. They serviced my pressure plate. They, they took everything apart. They lubricated it. They reassembled it. There was a warp in the surface, and they fixed that. But I don't know if you can tell, but there's like new lubricant and like all of the moving parts in there. Like, this is just a beautiful piece of work. It really is. Like, I was stunned when I opened up the box and saw it. I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. It's worth it. It's expensive, but it's worth it. I was talking to my dad, and he was like, how much did that cost? And I was like, oh, it costs enough. I can't really remember. How should I know? I kind of always say that, but, yeah, that work, that's worth it. yeah, they even gave me a clutch alignment tool for free because they're nice. And they also gave me a pilot bushing, you know? Like, what a bunch of nice guys, right? It's a guy named Mark and his wife Melissa. And they're a two-person, you know, company. And they're just really nice, man. They're just really nice. They just gave me the bushing. They're like, yeah, we made you a bushing. We want you to have a good bushing. And they gave it to me for free. Nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, so I do a whole lot of talking, you know, and not a lot of work, right? It's okay. I'm sure everybody's fine with that. I'm sure everybody's fine with that. Anyways, but there's another thing that I'm having a problem with, and I can't proceed from the part of the installation that I've gotten to. After this flywheel goes back on, and after I somehow manage to stop this flywheel from spinning so I can torque the bolts, and somehow observe the proper torque being achieved by that tool, after that, the friction disc goes here, and then the pressure plate gets attached onto here, right? Well, first the alignment tool goes in. Well, first the bushing goes in, and then the alignment tool, and then the friction disc, and then the pressure plate. That's the order it goes. And also, I'm going to clean this all off with some degreaser, you know, because I've been touching it with dirty hands. But, yeah. I got a problem with that. Like, I don't know what bolt torque I'm supposed to be, you know, torquing these down to, right? I don't know if it's supposed to go all the way down and it's supposed to touch the flywheel. Apparently it is. I mean, that's nothing I've heard, but somebody else is talking about their, you know, clutch, and yeah, that's what the answer was, is that yes, it is. But when I was tightening down the old pressure plate to the friction disc, I heard cracking, like I heard it cracking, and so I kind of backed off of it. So I'm not really sure if I should tighten it down like as much as I was, which was to say that it was getting like really, really tight, and it might have to get that tight again. So I don't know if it's gonna crack again. I don't know if I'm gonna hear that cracking noise again. So I'm waiting for people to reply to my question on the AMC forum. These are the flywheel bolts. They look pretty clean now, but I'll tell you, when I took these off this morning to redo this job, you know, and like reapply, you know, the Loctite, and, you know, put this back on there, reapply the Loctite, you know, and try torquing it again. I completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, when I took these out, they were so dirty with excess Loctite. Like, I had to sit there with a wire brush and brush all the crud out of every single thread on these bolts. I had to take a razor knife and, you know, carve out the rest of it that the wire brush didn't take out. And it took about 40 minutes for all 6 bolts. But you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna, you know, get back to my thinking over there. And, yeah. Alright, I'll probably make another part 2 or something like that soon of how things are going after this point. And, yeah, thanks a lot for watching. 1958 AMC Rambler Super part 26, I think. Okay, bye-bye.